Good morning, children. Last class I had told you that for first 10 minutes you'll have test and then we will have continue the lesson. Okay, write the name of the compound. First one, Na2O, CuSO4, CaCO3. Pause the video and write down the answers. Okay? Pause the video and write down the answers. I hope you people have studied. Right? Pause the video and write down the answers. Okay. Na2O. Na2O means oxide. Sodium oxide. CuSO4. Cu means copper. SO4 sulfate. Copper sulfate. Right? CaCO3. Ca calcium carbonate. Fe2O3, right? Iron oxide. K2SO4 potassium sulfate. MgHCO3 twice, magnesium. HCO3, no, CO3 means carbonate. Hydrogen is included, dicarbonate. CaOH twice, Ca calcium. OH means hydroxide. AlNO3 thrice. What it is? Aluminium nitrate. Aluminium nitrate. H2SO4 sulfuric acid. H2SO4 sulfuric acid. HCl hydrochloric acid. Right? Correct your answer. Okay, in pencil. Okay, if it is wrong, which is wrong one, you write down 5 times. Okay. Yes. See here, last year you people have studied, isn't it? Look here carefully. Acid turns blue litmus into red, right? Acid turns blue litmus into red. Can you see? How do you remember? D acid, D. Red, D. Right? So acid turns blue litmus into red. This one you should remember. Base turns red litmus to blue. Base E. Copy down this. I hope whatever I am writing on the board, you should take down in your rough note. Okay, which you keep separate for chemistry and bio. Did you people understand this? Acid turns blue litmus into red. How do you remember? D. Acid, D. Red, D. Base turns red litmus into blue. Base E, blue E. Did you people get it? Okay, this is how you should remember. Now we come back to I hope you people copy down and mark it important. Okay, now coming to chemical properties of metals and non-metals. Coming to chemical property. First class we had discussed physical properties, isn't it? Now we discuss chemical properties. If you take magnesium ribbon, magnesium is a metal, isn't it? Okay, if you take a magnesium ribbon or magnesium strip, okay, and burn it. Okay, if you take a magnesium strip and burn it, okay, what happens? Okay, it changes to form magnesium burns to form white powder. Magnesium burns to form white powder. Did you people get it? Magnesium burns to form white powder. Okay, how do you write the reaction here? Okay, magnesium burns in air. When I tell magnesium burns in air, it means magnesium reacts with oxygen of air magnesium burns in air means magnesium reacts with oxygen of air to form magnesium oxide. Okay, that white powder is nothing but magnesium oxide. That white powder or white ash is nothing but magnesium oxide. Once again, if magnesium burns in air means magnesium reacts with oxygen of air to form magnesium oxide, which is a white powder. Okay, if you dissolve, listen carefully, if you dissolve this white powder in water, that is, if you dissolve magnesium oxide in water and perform litmus test, it turns red litmus to blue. It turns red litmus to blue, indicating magnesium oxide is basic in nature. Okay, it is this magnesium oxide, when dissolved in water, turns red litmus to blue. Okay, indicating magnesium oxide is basic in nature. Did you people understand this? I hope you people understood this. Okay, how do you write the reaction? In chemical equation, magnesium, this is word equation, isn't it? Chemical equation, Mg plus oxygen, we don't write O. We always write O2. Remember, we never write O. We write O2. Magnesium oxide, MgO. Okay, the reaction is not balanced. Okay, don't worry about balancing the reactions. Okay, time is there, I will teach you. Okay, did you people understand this? So when you burn magnesium in air, okay, it means magnesium reacts with oxygen of air to form magnesium oxide, which is a white powder. To dissolve magnesium oxide in water and perform litmus test, it turns red litmus to blue, indicating magnesium oxide is basic in nature. Next, what happens, okay, if you keep iron objects without using for a long time? What happens to iron objects, okay, if you keep it unused for a long time? Or in rainy season, you might have seen the iron gates. What happens to iron gates in rainy season? They rust, isn't it? So, and the process is called rusting. Can you tell me I hope you people know what is rusting. If you take iron nail, okay, if you leave it unused for a long time, okay, there is a reddish brown deposit over the iron nail, isn't it? There is reddish brown deposit over the iron nail. What is that reddish brown deposit? It is nothing but the rust, isn't it? It is nothing but the rust. Okay, can you tell me the necessary conditions for rusting? Can you tell me the necessary conditions for rusting? Oxygen and water vapor of air, isn't it? What are the necessary conditions for rusting? Means oxygen and water vapor of air are the necessary conditions for rusting. What are oxygen and water vapor of air are necessary conditions for rusting. That means What actually happens here? Okay. How rusting takes place? Iron, I told you, what are the necessary conditions? Oxygen and water vapor. Iron reacts with oxygen and water vapor of air. Okay, that is, what is this? Okay, when iron comes in contact with moist air, rusting takes place. Okay, when iron comes in contact with moist air, rusting takes place. Okay, so during rusting, iron, it reacts with oxygen and water vapor of air to form hydrated, you don't know this, iron 3 oxide. Okay, I will tell what is hydrated. Okay, iron, okay, during rusting, iron, it reacts with oxygen and water vapor of air to form hydrated iron 3 oxide. That, what is that? Reddish brown rust. Okay, over the iron nail, the reddish brown rust over the iron nail is nothing but hydrated iron 3 oxide. Did you people understand this? What is that reddish brown rust over the iron nail? It is nothing but hydrated iron 3 oxide. Okay, we will write the reaction. Fe, iron Fe, oxygen, as I told, you should not write O2, and water vapor, you people know, H2O. Okay, and hydrated Fe2O3. See, it depends, X means number of water molecules. This will change. X may be 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, depending on the amount of water vapor in air. Amount of water vapor in air is more, means more number of iron will react with more number of water molecules. Did you people understand? Humidity is less, means iron reacts with less number of water molecules. F2. Okay, here water molecule is attached to iron oxide. Water molecule is attached to iron 3 oxide, isn't it? Therefore, we use the word hydrated. Okay, here water molecule is attached to, I will write to dot. Okay, here water molecules are attached to iron 3 oxide. Therefore, we use the word hydrated. Understood? Okay, if someone asks, what is the chemical name of rust? Someone asks, what is the chemical name of rust? It is hydrated iron 3 oxide. Okay, write down chemical name of rust is chemical name of rust is hydrated iron 3 oxide. Okay, chemical name of rust is hydrated iron 3 oxide. Okay, if you dissolve this hydrated iron 3 oxide in water, okay, that is, if you dissolve this rust in water, okay, and perform the litmus test, again it changes red litmus into blue, indicating it is, this hydrated iron 3 oxide is basic in nature. Do people understand this? Same thing what we did with magnesium oxide. What you will do, you will dissolve this hydrated iron 3 oxide in water and perform the litmus test. It again turns red litmus into blue, indicating it is basic in nature. turns red litmus to blue, indicating hydrated iron trioxide is basic in nature. Did you people understand this? So, pause the video and take down this. Okay. Now, magnesium oxide, calcium oxide, sodium oxide, potassium oxide. Okay, if you want to write fully or if you write formula also it's okay. Magnesium oxide, calcium oxide, sodium oxide, potassium oxide. What is magnesium, calcium, sodium, potassium? They are metals. Therefore, magnesium oxide, calcium oxide, sodium oxide, potassium oxide, they are metallic oxides, isn't it? Okay, magnesium, calcium, sodium, potassium, they are metals, isn't it? So, therefore, magnesium oxide, calcium oxide, sodium oxide, potassium oxide, they are metallic oxides. Did you people understand this? So, these metallic oxides, okay, when dissolved in water, turn red litmus into blue. Turn red litmus into blue, indicating, okay, metallic oxides are basic in nature. I hope you people understood this. See here, when you dissolve, you know, people know now, magnesium oxide, calcium oxide, sodium oxide, potassium oxide, they are called as metallic oxides. Okay, if you dissolve these metallic oxides in water and perform the litmus test, okay, they turn red litmus into blue, okay, indicating that these metallic oxides, they are basic in nature. Understood? Now next, and you can also take other examples on copper vessels. Okay, you find a green coating, isn't it? Sometimes, this many people know, on copper plates or copper vessels. Okay, you find green coating. Okay, why? Again, because copper, it reacts with oxygen, water vapor, and carbon dioxide of air to form copper hydroxide and copper carbonate. Okay, why there is a green coating? The green color is due to the formation of copper hydroxide and copper carbonate. Did you people understand this? Why you find green coating over the copper vessels of plates? Due to the form, this copper, it reacts with oxygen, water vapor and carbon dioxide, okay, to form copper hydroxide and copper carbonate. Due to this, copper hydroxide and copper carbonate gives green color. Next, we studied metallic oxides, isn't it? See, people know that carbon, it reacts with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. Carbon, it reacts with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. Similarly, sulfur reacts with oxygen to form sulfur dioxide. Isn't it? Sulfur, it reacts with oxygen to form sulfur dioxide. Now what you are going to do is, pass carbon dioxide gas into water. Pass carbon dioxide gas into water. This carbon dioxide dissolves in water, okay, to form, what is this H2CO3? Carbonic acid, that is carbon dioxide reacts with water to form carbonic acid, isn't it? Do you people understand this? When you pass carbon dioxide into water, okay, this carbon dioxide, okay, reacts with water. It actually dissolves. Okay, carbon dioxide, it reacts with water to form carbonic acid. Did you people understand this? When you pass carbon dioxide into water, carbon dioxide reacts with water to form carbonic acid. Okay, that's what I have written in word equation. Okay, now other one we take. When you pass sulfur dioxide, this carbonic acid, it turns blue litmus to red. Okay, this carbonic acid, it's an acid, it turns blue litmus to red. Okay. Similarly, when you pass sulfur dioxide in water, sulfur dioxide reacts with water to form, can you tell me what is this? H2SO3, sulfurous acid. Sulfur dioxide reacts with water to form sulfurous acid, which turns blue litmus to red. Okay. Similarly, if you pass sulfur dioxide into water, sulfur dioxide reacts with water to form sulfurous acid. Okay. And if you perform the litmus test, this sulfurous acid turns blue litmus into red, indicating it is an acid. Now, what are this carbon dioxide? Sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide. What are they? Will you see carbon, sulfur, nitrogen? What are they? They are non-metals, isn't it? They are non-metals. So, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, they are non-metallic oxides. They are non-metallic oxides. Isn't it? If you dissolve these non-metallic oxides in water, okay, they turn blue litmus to red, indicating non-metallic oxides, they are acidic in nature. Share up this part. See here, carbon, sulfur, nitrogen, they are non-metals, isn't it? Therefore, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, they are non-metallic oxides, isn't it? Okay, so if you dissolve this carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide in water, okay, and perform the litmus test, they turn blue litmus to red, indicating non-metallic oxides, they are acidic in nature. So do people understand this? Okay, now next. Why is sodium metal stored in kerosene? So do people understand this? See, always remember metallic oxides such as magnesium oxide, calcium oxide, sodium oxide, potassium oxide, they turn red litmus into blue, indicating they are basic in nature. Whereas carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, they are non-metallic oxides, okay, which turn blue litmus to red, these non-metallic oxides when dissolved in water turn blue litmus to red, indicating non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature. Okay, next. Why is sodium metal stored in kerosene? Okay, why is sodium metal stored in kerosene? Okay, before coming to the reason, let us know what is the meaning of word vigorously. Okay, when we say the reaction is vigorous, okay, what it means? It means that the reaction it takes place quickly. The reaction takes place quickly and lot of heat is released, given out. Did you people understand this? Okay, whenever we tell the reaction is vigorous, we tell that reaction is vigorous. Reaction is vigorous. What if I tell reaction is vigorous? What it means? It means that the reaction takes place very quickly, okay, and there is lot of heat is given out. Did you people understand this? Okay, what do you mean by reaction is vigorous? It means that the reaction takes place quickly, fast, immediately, okay, and a lot of heat is produced. Do you people understand this? Or a lot of heat is given out. Now, see here, sodium or potassium, both. Sorry, sodium, potassium metals, okay, they are stored in kerosene. Why? Because sodium and potassium, they are very reactive. Okay, sodium and potassium they are very reactive. Okay, they react with oxygen and water vapor of air vigorously. Okay, hence lot of heat is produced and may catch fire. Okay. Hence, sodium and potassium metals they are stored in kerosene. Did you people understand? Why is sodium or potassium metals they are stored in kerosene? Why? Because sodium and potassium metals they are very reactive. Okay. So, these sodium and potassium metals they react with the oxygen and water vapor of air vigorously. Okay, the reaction between sodium and potassium, the reaction of sodium with oxygen and water vapor is vigorous. Okay, or the reaction of potassium with oxygen and water vapor of air is vigorous. Okay, the reaction takes place immediately. Okay, and hence lot of heat is produced. Okay, and may catch fire. Okay, to prevent that, okay, sodium and potassium metals are stored in kerosene. Did you people understand this? So once again I'll repeat, why sodium and potassium metals are stored in kerosene? Because sodium and potassium metals are very reactive. Okay, so they react with the oxygen and water vapor of air, okay, vigorously. This word is very important. Vigorously. Okay, hence a lot of heat is produced and may catch fire. To prevent this, they are stored in kerosene. Did you people understand this? They are not kept in open bottles. Okay, they are kept in kerosene closed. Next, reaction with water. Last part. Okay, look here. What you will do is you take a trough, okay, with water in it. Okay, you take water in a trough. You add a very small grain-sized sodium, okay, into the water. Okay, that time this sodium it runs on water, okay, becomes smaller and smaller in size. Okay, finally this sodium it reacts with water to form sodium hydroxide, liberating hydrogen gas. Okay, and a lot of heat is released. Did you people understand? Therefore, we tell sodium, it reacts vigorously with water. Understood? First we take example of sodium, then we come to the example of potassium. Listen here carefully what you are going to do. You are going to take water in a trough, okay, and add a very small grain sized sodium into it. Okay. When you add this sodium, it runs on water, okay. That is sodium, it reacts vigorously with water, okay. Finally, it becomes smaller and smaller in size, okay, forming sodium hydroxide, liberating hydrogen gas. Did you people understand this? Okay, once again I'll repeat. When you add sodium into water in a trough, okay, this very small grain size sodium, okay, into water in a trough, okay, this sodium, it becomes smaller and smaller in size and reacts with water vigorously to form sodium hydroxide, releasing hydrogen gas. Understood? Same way with potassium. If you put a small grain sized potassium into water in a beaker, okay, same thing. That time also potassium, it reacts with water vigorously, okay, to form sodium hydroxide, liberating hydrogen gas. Okay, here also that when I tell vigorous reaction takes place, lot of heat is generated. The reaction is not balanced. You don't have balancing of equations, don't worry. But whenever I am writing an equation, it has to be balanced. That's why I wrote. Okay. I hope you want me to write the word equation. I hope you will understand this. Or you want me to write down sodium. It reacts with water vigorously to form sodium hydroxide, liberating hydrogen gas. Similarly, potassium, it reacts with water to form KOH means what? Potassium hydroxide. Potassium hydroxide hydrogen. Okay, once again, okay, sodium and potassium react vigorously with water. That means the reaction is quick and lot of heat is produced. Okay, when you add sodium, small grain size sodium into water in a trough, it runs on water. Okay, it becomes smaller and smaller in size, and finally sodium, it reacts with water vigorously to form sodium hydroxide, liberating hydrogen gas. Okay. And same way, if you add a small grain size potassium into water, okay, potassium, it runs on water, okay, becomes smaller and smaller in size. Potassium, it reacts with water, okay, vigorously to form potassium hydroxide, liberating hydrogen gas. Did you people understand this? I hope you understood. That is what is for today. We'll go through the reactions, what is done, okay, and homework. You people, I have copied materials, metals and non-metals notes, I think. Okay, please complete that. And homework you have first materials, metals and non-metals. First, second and third question and answer 2 times. Okay. Complete your classwork and as well as do the homework. Thank you.